Hey YouTubers, we're on to the second game here. Great first game, I have to say. I was definitely expecting cheese, but I wasn't really expecting it from Stork. You know what? I'm going to watch this cool intro. I didn't get a chance to watch it the last time. This is pretty awesome, I have to say. Always outdoing themselves on the intros. Okay, now that's out of the way. We're on the game 2 here. Game 2 is going to be played on Medusa, so we could be seeing another kind of cheese. Medusa is very prone to cheese. You can sneak probes or SCVs through the little pyramids through that mineral trick. So we'll see if either player goes for that. I think Fantasy definitely should. Fantasy has to cheese. You see, in that last game, he was just out-microed completely. I mean, he had Marines. He had Marines, which have range. So with the right micro, he should have been able to take out any amount of zealots that went into his base, but you see, even with one gate working at him and 2 racks protecting him, he still wasn't able to circumvent that cheese. So I have a lot of fear for Fantasy right now. I'm not sure if he can pull this series out. We'll see if he has any kind of strategy planned for Medusa, though. I'm very excited to see if he will cheese, because I hope he will. Sneak some SCVs around. 4, 3, 2, 1. Stork looking very strong so far, very confident, I have to say. I think that probe rush was more of a ode to his confidence than a actual strategy. Down here at the 7 o'clock position in purple, we have Fantasy. Terran player, still looking rather composed, I have to say. Looking a little bit distraught, I think, after that first game, but nothing major. Up here at the 3 o'clock position in green, we have Stork. We'll see if either player puts like a building behind their base to check for any kind of a cheese. I think Stork definitely should put a pylon up there or something. No SCVs out for Fantasy already, though, so we could be seeing some standard play from both players. Like I said, in standard play, I think that Stork should definitely get to Arbiters as soon as he can. See, putting his pylon down there, not scouting with his pylon probe. I think the Stork should scout early and very, very often. If Fantasy does have strategies prepared in advance by like some of his team members or UUV, he's going to stick to them rigidly. I don't see him deviating from any kind of interesting, different strategy, like maybe some kind of a weird 2 racks rush, like 1 hidden racks or something. You see that Fantasy is going behind his base here, looking for cheese. I think he should probably think about building a supply depot up there if he wants to have permanent vision back there. And it's probably a good idea for him to check for cheese. It looks like that Stork is definitely willing to cheese. I think he might cheese 1 or 2 more times in this series if it makes it to that many games. See, Stork is going up, going to scout the wrong way to begin with. So we'll see if there's any Marines out to deal with Stork's scouting probe by the time he gets down to the 7 o'clock position. Looks like Fantasy's going to scout the wrong way too, going up to start with. Probably going to run into the probe up there. And you see there is a probe putting down a pylon, so both players playing very good anti-cheese plays here. Looking for cheese behind the base. Very, very important, especially in this final setting. You do not want to get cheesed in the finals, as Fantasy has probably proven to you right now. Although Fantasy did a good job of scouting that last cheese on the last match. I'm not quite sure why he wasn't able to deal with it, though. I mean, he took down 1 gate. It just kind of blows my mind that he wasn't able to deal with that with 2 racks. But you see Fantasy is working up here, getting a few Marines out to deal with this. You see that Stork is taking care of those minerals, going to make sure that Fantasy can't sneak anything up. And Fantasy kind of running into the minerals there. A little bit clumsy SCV there. And we'll see. I think there was a Zealot out for Stork, so we'll see if he's able to do some harassment with this. Oh my god, he might be able to take out this Marine. He takes out Marine. Just very awesome Zealot play from him so far, and just very poor Marine micro from Fantasy thus far. The micro might end up costing Fantasy this series because he just hasn't shown very good Marine micro at all so far. Like I said, he's way more comfortable with mech. So he's probably praying that he can get the mech quick enough. But you see Stork is thinking about putting on a lot of pressure here. Has a goon out already, doing some massive macro. And now he's bringing in his Dragoon, attacking the factory there, which is kind of silly. Looks like Fantasy is doing a pretty good job of protecting his Marines this time. Has a good set of Marines out right now, 4 Marines, which should be enough to fend off any kind of early aggressive attacks from Stork. You see Stork is trying to lure Fantasy out with that Dragoon and Zealot. Still working from one gate, I believe, Stork is. Getting another Dragoon out. And there's the tank out for Fantasy, so I think Stork should probably thinking about put down some more gateways. You see he is working up to robotics facility here. So we could be seeing some observers out to help deal with any kind of mines. There's Fantasy trying to sneak SCV behind the base, not too successful, going to get taken down.